Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. Husband leaves wife at 8 months pregnant. 5 weeks later, she finds this in the oven. Amanda didn't know what to think. She peered down at the TV screen and wondered what she'd just seen. She saw 3 figures appear. With shock, she noticed they were in her house. She wished her house were cleaner. She looked to her friend. She'd been planning this. Then she watched as one of the figures walked to her oven and opened it. She gasped as she saw what was inside. Amanda could never have predicted being at such a low point in her life. She lived in a beautiful house in a good neighborhood. She was married to a wonderful husband who loved her. The cherry on top was when she realized she was pregnant with their first child after trying for so long. It seemed that everything was falling into place. It seemed that she had a wonderful life to look forward to. But one day, like any other, she woke up to a frightening sight. Amanda and her husband had been trying to have a child for 3 years. It felt like an eternity for both of them, and Amanda felt closer to her husband for it. But she couldn't have been more mistaken. Their house was finally finished being renovated, and with her being pregnant, the timing was perfect. Amanda didn't think things could get much better. She was right. Excited with how her life was shaping up, she could have never expected the drastic turn that it would take. Her world would be turned upside down as all of her dreams would be crushed. She felt that it was all too unfair. But to make things worse, the man she loved was about to destroy everything. When Amanda gave Anna a call, Anna immediately came over to comfort her. She noticed that her flower beds that were normally well-maintained were now dead. Who destroyed the garden? She nervously knocked on the door with the secret knock. When Amanda's frame finally appeared in the doorway, Anna had to take a step back. Amanda normally carefully applied all her makeup, even while she was pregnant, but her mascara was a mess, and her nose was red, and she had enormous bags under her eyes. Anna couldn't understand what had happened to Amanda. She rinsed a cloth under the kitchen sink and ran back to her friend's aid. Then she asked where her husband was. "You know how we've been trying for 3 years now, Anna?" Amanda choked. She couldn't contain her tears anymore. Anna saw tears streaming down her face. "Well, it's all over," she gasped. She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "I don't know what to do." Her voice cracked as she explained what happened. Without any kind of warning, Amanda's husband informed her that he was leaving her behind. Without any chance of reconciliation, he left. Amanda didn't understand what was going on. It was like she'd woken up from a bad dream, but it was still going on. She had bills to pay and was 36 weeks pregnant, all on her own. All of Amanda's savings were in her house, the one she'd renovated with her husband. All the fittings had been chosen by both of them. She didn't know what to do. Amanda was deeply hurt. Her husband had never given her any signs that he wasn't happy in the relationship. She thought they lived a great life. Didn't they? Amanda was numb from everything that had happened. She had a baby on the way and no idea what to do next. What route would she take to cope? She couldn't cope with the idea that her husband left her for a younger woman, and to top it all off, left her with all her debt. She tried to understand her situation and had to turn to her best friend for help. Anna struggled to hold back her own tears. She'd been there for Amanda through her first heartbreak, her first fight with John, her nerves the day before the wedding, but none of those compared to this. Amanda hid from the world. She would only get out of bed to use the toilet or eat or watch television. Even Anna couldn't lift her spirits. For 5 weeks, Amanda refused to leave the house, but Anna wasn't going to leave her alone to suffer. It was very fortunate that Amanda had her friend Anna for emotional support. Anna was there for Amanda every step of the way. She would drag her from the bed to the bath and bathe her. She fixed her favorite meals. She painted her nails as she lay lifeless in bed. And then Anna came up with a plan. Although she had an unorthodox idea about how to help her friend, it might just be what she needed to get up and get on with her life. Anna decided to do something rather underhanded and devious, but she knew it would be worth it in the end. She had the connections to make her plan work. She dragged her friend out of bed one last time. Suddenly, a bewildered Amanda found herself in a room full of strangers, numbly broadcasting her pain and feelings of betrayal to the world on live television. Then Anna told Amanda to turn around gesturing to the monitor behind her. Amanda turned around to the screen behind her, confused. She wasn't sure what Anna was doing or what they were trying to show her, but being in such a strange situation helped to take her mind off things. She watched the screen, trying to figure out what was happening. They were entering a house. With horror, she realized it was her house. She instinctively put a protective hand on her belly when she recognized her own home on the screen. In her heart, she knew this had something to do with her husband. What was her friend planning? She'd blindly trusted her up to this point, but now it felt like she'd gone too far. Was she on his side? Was she trying to embarrass her? She didn't trust anyone anymore. The men boldly opened the front door and began to walk down the hallway, documenting the disarray for everyone to see. The camera panned over the mattress leaning up against the wall and across the boxes scattered all over the floor of every room. She'd been so devastated when her husband had walked out that she hadn't been able to bring herself to unpack her things in the home they'd brought together. She watched the strangers on the monitor saunter through her home and felt a mixture of fear, embarrassment, and distress when she saw how untidy her kitchen was. Why didn't her friend warn her? Then one of the men walked over to her oven and audaciously opened the door. When she saw what the camera revealed inside, she suddenly knew exactly what was happening, and she couldn't contain her tears. Sitting right in the middle of the oven, neatly bound together, lay a great wad of cash. Amanda almost fell off her chair. But what was going on? And who had hidden the cash inside her oven? And why? Did this have anything to do with him? Anna smiled shrewdly when she saw Amanda's reaction. Her plan had worked. It was Anna who came up with the idea to write to the local radio station, KIIS 1065, and ask the presenters, Kyle and Jackie O, if they would possibly give Amanda a chance to appear on their Give Back segment. Learning about Amanda's story, the radio show had decided to get involved and help. To Amanda's relief, it had nothing to do with the man that devastated her life. Of course, Amanda had been oblivious. Amanda and Anna were invited to their studio to be guests on the show, but Amanda had no idea what was about to happen. Upon arriving, the hostess announced that they have a special Give Back segment, which Amanda was unaware of. Her friend Anna was welcomed and introduced as the one who wrote to them and had made this all possible. Listeners were briefed on Amanda's situation and the unfortunate difficulty she had with conceiving. Amanda was given the opportunity to tell her story, and as she spoke to Jackie O and Kyle, she told them that the worst part was the total uncertainty of it all. Amanda said, "It's been about 5 weeks since it happened," referring to her husband leaving her, "and the biggest thing is just the shock, I guess because it wasn't really what we planned or what I planned." Jackie's words were a godsend to Amanda, who had suffered such a horrible trauma so late in her pregnancy. "I really want to keep the place and raise my child there, but," Amanda said. The but was her indicating to the host that she wouldn't be able to afford the house on her own. It was a heartbreaking situation. The radio host had realized that, on their own, it would be hard to help Amanda. So they'd approach local businesses to contribute and make this seemingly disastrous situation a little easier to handle. What followed made this amazing show possible. It turns out that the Middlesex Academy Learning Center generously gifted $10,000 towards Amanda's mortgage. She didn't have to worry about having a roof over her and her baby's head for a good few months to come. But there were still more surprises to be revealed. To Amanda's total surprise, they entered the front door and Amanda was presented with a vacuum cleaner sponsored by Scrub Online Cleaning Service. This symbolized the cleaning of her house and that they'd set up to keep the house clean for the next 6 months, so Amanda doesn't have to worry about cleaning side of things. Continuing through the house, they go to the kitchen and open the fridge. To her amazement, the fridge was stocked with meals provided by Eat Fit Foods, who will thankfully be supplying and delivering fresh meals daily for the next 3 months. All the groceries will be taken care of, so that'll be one less thing to worry about. Continuing with her tour, Amanda was surprised with a table stacked with baby gear. It was $4,000 worth of goods, including a stroller, car seat, change table, baby monitor, the works. As if that wasn't enough, Baby Village even threw in a $1,000 voucher for a baby photography session. By this time, Amanda was totally speechless and sat with a huge smile on her face and tears streaming down her cheeks. She had the feeling of an immense weight being lifted off of her burdened shoulders. By this time, Amanda's in tears, but fortunately it's happy tears of joy. For the past 5 weeks, she'd been stressing about how she was going to cope as a single young mother. She had no means of supporting herself or her new baby. She had no idea when she woke up that morning that her life would be turned around so drastically. Sitting next to her friend was Anna, who was looking just as excited as Amanda. She felt very blessed to have been part of this. She took the initiative and orchestrated this special occasion to help make what was meant to be a happy time in her friend's life possible. And with the help of the radio station and local businesses, Amanda suddenly felt excited about the future. Overwhelmed with emotion and with great big tears rolling down her face, the only words Amanda could muster was, "I can't tell you how much this means to me. This means I don't have to move," Amanda managed to exclaim through sobs. This is definitely not the year that Amanda had imagined for herself or even hoped for. However, with the help and generosity of complete strangers, this young mother-to-be had a new and bright future ahead of her. She could finally unpack and move her furniture around to settle in her home and plan a life with her soon-to-arrive baby. The Kyle and Jackie O Show is an Australian breakfast radio show hosted by Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O on KIIS 106.5 in Sydney. The duo is famous in Australia for their givebacks. When Anna approached them by writing a letter about her friend Amanda's predicament, they were more than happy to help the newly single mom. Amanda's emotional reaction to the unexpected help was captured on camera. The video was released by Kyle and Jackie O on YouTube and quickly became a viral sensation. The video was released back in 2015. To date, the heartwarming video has had over 5 million views. When we heard about Amanda's story, we had to give her a give back she would never forget, the video caption explains. Amanda and her husband were trying for a child for 3 years with many failures. Finally, she managed to conceive, and she's now 36 weeks pregnant with her first child. They purchased their first home and finally moved in around 2 months ago after renovating. The YouTube caption continues. Everything was looking up for Amanda and her young family. However, it all came tragically unstuck about a month ago when her husband left the marital home. What did Amanda discover when we put a camera in her home? The caption reads. But how did viewers of the video and listeners of the original broadcast react to Amanda's story? The reactions to the video all share one thing in common. Amanda's tears of gratitude upon realizing that she won't have to lose her home is absolutely gut-wrenching. Most people say that the video brought tears to their eyes, but joy isn't the only emotion that this video elicits. Some other users had other questions. What kind of sorry excuse for a man tries for so long to conceive a child and then, after 36 weeks of finally conceiving, leaves her with a mortgage she can't even begin to pay? One angry user wrote. What was it? Did he realize only after 36 weeks of pregnancy and renovating the house for 2 years that he wasn't fit to be a father? So many questions. There's no doubt that Amanda would still have been shaken up by her husband leaving her, but at least she could now relax in the knowledge that she had everything she needed for her precious baby's arrival. And who would have thought that such a life-changing surprise would be hidden somewhere as unexpected as an oven? What to some appears like not a big deal can mean the world to someone in need. We take so much for granted that we forget others could appreciate. At the end of the day, a little human kindness, generosity, and paying it forward can make all parties feel just that bit more human. You never know what someone else could be thankful for. It goes without saying that good friends are worth their weight in gold, and that was certainly the case for Amanda. Amanda's best friend Anna was so determined to do something amazing to support her in her time of need that she made it happen. For Amanda, she pulled off something unimaginable. Anna arranged for people who were essentially strangers to help her friend out of the desperate situation she was in. Nobody ever expects to be left high and dry in their time of need or when they're most vulnerable. As much as we all wish it wouldn't happen, we all need to stand together and form a support group from those around us for people in need. One day we may find ourselves in a difficult place and needing help from our community. Please share this with your friends and family.